66 million years ago, in what is now Western North America, the forest is alive with quiet movement. Tall conifers rise into a hazy Cretaceous sky. Ferns blanket the damp ground. Insects buzz through thick, humid air. A herd of duck-billed dinosaurs moves slowly along the edge of a river, their heavy bodies pushing through dense vegetation. Then, something changes. The birds fall silent. A ripple of tension spreads through the forest. One by one, the herbivores lift their heads. Muscles tighten. Eyes scan the shadows between the trees. For a moment, nothing moves. Then, the ground trembles. Not violently, just enough to disturb the soil. A low, rhythmic vibration traveling through the earth itself. Another step, and another. Branches crack somewhere beyond the tree line. Leaves shake. A massive shape moves just out of sight. Whatever is approaching is enormous. When it finally emerges from the forest, the scale is almost impossible to comprehend. A skull more than 5 feet long, teeth the size of kitchen knives, muscles shifting beneath thick, armored skin as the animal lifts its head and surveys the landscape. Tyrannosaurus rex. For more than a century, this creature has been called the ultimate predator of the prehistoric world, the tyrant king of the dinosaurs. But the animal we think we know may not be the one that actually existed. For decades, scientists believed T-Rex was little more than a giant reptilian brute, slow, clumsy, and driven by raw size alone. That picture shaped everything: museum displays, textbooks, movies, even our understanding of dinosaur evolution. Yet, over the past 30 years, a wave of new discoveries has begun to dismantle that image piece by piece. Advanced CT scans of fossil skulls, biomechanical simulations of muscle and bone, microscopic analysis of bite marks preserved in ancient skeletons. And what these discoveries reveal is deeply unsettling. Because the real Tyrannosaurus rex was not simply large. It was faster than we expected, smarter than we imagined, and equipped with a set of biological tools that may have made it the most efficient land predator the planet has ever seen. The terrifying truth about T-Rex is not just that it ruled its world. It's that we may have been underestimating it for more than 100 years.
At the beginning of the 20th century, the world had never seen anything like Tyrannosaurus rex. In 1902, fossil hunter Barnum Brown, working for the American Museum of Natural History, uncovered a set of enormous fossilized bones in the rugged Badlands of Montana. The fragments were unlike anything scientists had encountered before: massive leg bones, enormous vertebrae, and pieces of a skull that hinted at a predator of staggering proportions. A few years later, paleontologist Henry Fairfield Osborn formally described the animal and gave it a name that would become legendary: Tyrannosaurus rex. The name meant Tyrant Lizard King, and from the moment it entered the scientific record, the creature captured the public imagination. But the early 20th century was a very different time for dinosaur science. At that point, paleontologists believed dinosaurs were evolutionary dead ends, oversized reptiles that had grown too large, too slow, and too inefficient to survive in a changing world. The fossils seemed to support that idea. When scientists first reconstructed the skeleton of Tyrannosaurus rex, they posed it standing upright, almost like a kangaroo. Its tail dragged along the ground, its head leaned forward from a nearly vertical body. The tiny forearms hung awkwardly in front of its chest. To modernize, the posture looks strange, even clumsy. But for decades, this image defined how the world imagined the king of the dinosaurs. The creature appeared massive, powerful, and undeniably intimidating, but also slow, almost sluggish. In early museum displays and textbooks, Tyrannosaurus rex was often portrayed as a lumbering giant, a predator that relied more on size than speed. Some scientists even suggested it might have been primarily a scavenger, an animal that fed on carcasses rather than hunting its own prey. The logic seemed reasonable. After all, how could a creature that large possibly move quickly? With a body mass that may have exceeded 7 tons, the animal appeared built for brute strength rather than agility. And the arms did not help its reputation. Those famously tiny forelimbs became one of the most mocked features in paleontology. Compared to its massive skull and powerful legs, the arms seemed almost useless, reinforcing the idea that the animal was awkwardly designed. Then came popular culture. By the mid-20th century, Tyrannosaurus rex had become the ultimate movie monster. Films, illustrations, and museum exhibits repeated the same image again and again, a slow, tail-dragging reptile roaring through prehistoric swamps. This picture became so deeply embedded in public consciousness that it felt unquestionable. But science has a habit of revisiting old assumptions. Beginning in the 1960s, a new generation of paleontologists started asking uncomfortable questions. The fossil record was expanding rapidly, and new discoveries suggested dinosaurs might not have been the cold-blooded, sluggish reptile scientists once believed. Instead, they might have been far more dynamic, more active, more complex. And as researchers began to re-examine the anatomy of Tyrannosaurus rex using modern techniques, biomechanics, CT scanning, and comparative anatomy, the old image of the tyrant king began to crumble. The monster we thought we understood was starting to look very different. And the deeper scientists looked, the clearer it became that the true story of Tyrannosaurus rex was far more remarkable than the myth that had dominated the last 100 years.
By the late 20th century, paleontologists began to see Tyrannosaurus rex not as a slow, lumbering brute, but as a predator of unparalleled efficiency. To understand why, scientists turned to the fossilized skeletons, muscles, and even traces of behavior preserved in stone, piecing together the biology of an apex predator that ruled North America 66 million years ago. The most obvious place to begin is the skull. T-Rex's head could reach over 5 feet in length, and its jaws were built not for subtlety, but for devastation. Modern biomechanical analyses, including computer simulations conducted at institutions like University of Missouri, revealed that T-Rex could exert a bite force exceeding 35,000 newtons. That is roughly 3 times stronger than a modern lion's bite. This extraordinary force was concentrated in teeth designed not to slice cleanly like a knife, but to crush. Fossilized bones from herbivorous dinosaurs bear deep punctured marks, where tyrannosaur teeth shattered bone, sometimes pulverizing it completely. Even coprolites, fossilized droppings, contain fragments of bone, indicating that T-Rex could digest not only flesh, but the nutrient-rich marrow within. Every part of the skeleton, every muscle attachment in the skull had evolved to maximize the predator's ability to extract calories efficiently. But raw power alone does not make a predator truly dominant. Speed and movement are equally important. For years, pop culture imagined T-Rex sprinting at impossible velocities, but careful study tells a more nuanced story. Using mathematical models that account for body mass, muscle strength, and the stress bones can withstand, researchers concluded that a fully grown T-Rex could likely run at around 20 kilometers per hour. That may sound modest, but consider the animal's weight, often between 7 and 9 tons. Even a moderate pace translates to a force capable of knocking down prey and overpowering almost anything in its path. Coupled with a long, heavy tail serving as a counterbalance, T-Rex could make rapid turns and maintain stability while lunging at its target. In essence, it was not about top speed. It was about controlled, lethal efficiency. Its senses amplified this predatory advantage. CT scans of fossil skulls revealed enlarged olfactory bulbs, indicating an extraordinary sense of smell, capable of detecting prey across kilometers of Cretaceous terrain. Forward-facing eyes provided binocular vision, enhancing depth perception and allowing precise judgment of distance and movement, similar to modern birds of prey. The inner ear structure suggests sensitivity to low-frequency sounds, hinting that T-Rex may have communicated through deep, resonant vocalizations that could travel across vast distances. These sensory adaptations made the Tyrant King not only powerful, but supremely aware of its environment, capable of tracking prey, avoiding danger, and coordinating with others of its species. Even the forelimbs, long considered vestigial or comically small, reveal specialized function under scrutiny. Muscle attachment sites indicate that the arms, though short, were remarkably strong. Each bore 2 large claws capable of gripping prey or assisting the animal in rising from a prone position. Far from useless, these appendages complemented the predator's hunting strategy, reinforcing the idea that every element of T-Rex's anatomy was fine-tuned by millions of years of evolution. Finally, the evolutionary context completes the picture. Tyrannosaurus rex did not appear fully formed. It was the apex outcome of a lineage of tyrannosaurids that had evolved over more than 100 million years. Early, smaller relatives gradually developed larger skulls, stronger jaws, and more efficient locomotion.
By the time T-Rex appeared, evolution had produced a predator optimized for dominance, strong, intelligent, and energetically efficient. Every aspect of its design, from bone-crushing teeth to its sensory organs, powerful legs, and even tiny but functional arms, worked together in a system honed for survival. T-Rex was more than an enormous predator. It was a machine, a living embodiment of evolutionary precision. In biomechanical terms, nothing else on land matched its combination of strength, perception, and efficiency. The more scientists examined it, the clearer it became. Tyrannosaurus rex was not merely a giant dinosaur. It was the ultimate predator, sculpted by natural selection into one of the most effective hunting machines in Earth's history.
To understand Tyrannosaurus rex, it is not enough to study its anatomy alone. A predator's power is defined as much by the environment it inhabits as by its physical capabilities. The world of T-Rex, in the late Cretaceous of North America, was a complex mosaic of forests, floodplains, rivers, and coastal plains, teeming with life, yet governed by survival and fear. Paleontologists reconstruct these ancient ecosystems through a combination of fossil evidence, sedimentary geology, and comparison with modern ecological systems. The land T-Rex roamed was rich with diverse herbivores, each a potential meal. Hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, traveled in large herds, their size and numbers offering safety in social structures. Triceratops, with its massive horns and armored frill, could defend itself against predators, but only with considerable effort and risk. Smaller dinosaurs, from nimble raptors to armored ankylosaurs, navigated the same landscape, constantly aware of the lurking threat. The presence of T-Rex fundamentally shaped the behavior of these animals. Fossilized trackways suggest that herbivorous dinosaurs altered their migration patterns, moving cautiously through open plains and seeking cover when predators were near. Some skeletal fossils even show healed bite marks, evidence that encounters with T-Rex were often violent, yet survivable. Each scar tells a story of narrow escape or brutal attack, a daily negotiation with the apex predator. The landscape itself became a theater of fear and vigilance. T-Rex's dominance was also reflected in its territorial and hunting strategies. Unlike modern ecosystems that often feature multiple apex predators sharing resources, T-Rex seems to have ruled largely without significant competition. Large theropods in the same period were relatively rare, suggesting that a single T-Rex could control extensive hunting grounds. Its combination of size, strength, and sensory acuity allowed it to locate prey across kilometers of terrain, patrol its territory efficiently, and secure carcasses against scavengers. In essence, T-Rex functioned as a solitary apex regulator of the ecosystem. The predator-prey dynamics of this period were extraordinarily intense. Modern analogies, like African savannas dominated by lions or hyenas, offer a window into these interactions. But even in comparison, T-Rex's presence was exceptional. A 7 to 9 ton predator capable of crushing bone, coupled with acute senses and intelligence, created a level of predatory pressure rarely matched in today's world. Its hunting efficiency meant that herbivorous dinosaurs constantly balanced feeding, migration, and vigilance. Young or injured animals faced the highest risk, and fossils show evidence of selective predation. T-Rex may have targeted the weak, old, or sick, an instinctive form of natural population control. Fossil evidence also hints at social aspects. Some paleontologists propose that T-Rex may have used vocalizations or low-frequency sounds to communicate over long distances. These calls could have served multiple purposes, marking territory, signaling danger, or coordinating with other members of its species. While direct evidence for pack behavior remains debated, the neurological and sensory adaptations of T-Rex suggest a level of situational awareness far beyond what was once assumed for dinosaurs. This predator was not a mindless brute, it was a strategic, responsive hunter. The human fascination with T-Rex mirrors the predator's dominance in its own world. When early fossil displays and cinematic portrayals depicted it as an unstoppable monster, they captured an essential truth: T-Rex ruled its ecosystem. Yet the predator's real legacy lies in the subtle ways it shaped life around it. By exerting constant predatory pressure, it influenced the evolution, behavior, and survival strategies of entire species. Its presence rippled through the environment, impacting vegetation patterns, herd movements, and even the evolutionary arms race between predator and prey. This predator-centric view of the ecosystem reframes the way we understand the late Cretaceous. It was not a static, peaceful landscape, but a dynamic world driven by interaction, fear, and adaptation. The terrifying efficiency of T-Rex created a living system where survival demanded constant vigilance. Every herbivore, every small carnivore, every juvenile faced the threat of annihilation or the chance to live another day. Ultimately, the world of T-Rex illustrates one of the most profound lessons in paleontology.
Understanding an apex predator requires more than bones or teeth. It demands insight into the ecosystem itself, its prey, competitors, geography, and environmental pressures. In this world, every shadow mattered. Every sound signaled potential danger. And in the midst of it all, the tyrant reigned supreme, not by brute force alone, but by mastery of an entire ecosystem.
By the end of the Cretaceous period, Tyrannosaurus rex had become more than just a predator. It was a living exemplar of evolutionary optimization. Every part of its anatomy, every aspect of its physiology worked in unison to create a lethal and highly efficient land predator. The terrifying truth lies not merely in its size or power, but in the remarkable precision with which nature shaped it. Take its skull, for example. Over 5 feet long, it housed enormous jaw muscles capable of generating more than 35,000 newtons of force. But it was not just raw crushing power. The teeth, thick and reinforced, were designed to withstand immense stress, allowing T-Rex to pulverize bone and access marrow, a nutrient source unavailable to almost any other predator. Coprolites containing bone fragments confirm that it consumed entire skeletons, extracting energy far more efficiently than almost any modern terrestrial predator. In evolutionary terms, this was sophistication in action. Nothing about its feeding strategy was accidental. Then there were its limbs. The hind legs, massive and muscular, provided strength and balance, allowing T-Rex to move efficiently across its territory despite its immense size. Its tail acted as a counterbalance, enabling sudden directional changes while maintaining stability, a crucial adaptation for a predator that needed both power and agility. And those famously small forelimbs, often ridiculed in popular culture, were not vestigial. They were extremely strong, capable of gripping prey or assisting in getting the massive body upright. Even these seemingly minor details had precise functional roles. The predator's senses amplified its efficiency. Enormous olfactory bulbs allowed T-Rex to detect prey or carrion over great distances. Forward-facing eyes provided stereoscopic vision, enabling precise depth perception and targeting. Its inner ear structure, sensitive to low-frequency vibrations, hints at the possibility of long-distance communication or environmental awareness far beyond our intuition. Every sense reinforced the other, creating a predator capable of reading its world with extraordinary acuity. And the evolutionary history of T-Rex underscores the sophistication of its design. It was the apex of a lineage that had been developing for more than 100 million years. Early tyrannosaurids gradually increased in size, strength, and sensory capability. By the time T-Rex emerged, natural selection had produced an organism that maximized predatory efficiency while minimizing wasted energy. Unlike many apex predators in modern ecosystems, which compete with others for territory and food, T-Rex's dominance appears to have allowed it to occupy a vast ecological niche virtually uncontested. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of T-Rex is how it challenges our perception of dinosaurs. For decades, these animals were portrayed as slow, unintelligent, and evolutionarily backward. In truth, T-Rex demonstrates that dinosaurs were not only dynamic, but also capable of extreme specialization. Evolution had not produced a brute, it had produced a machine, a predator with optimized structure, lethal force, advanced senses, and behavioral sophistication, all integrated into a single organism. The true terror, then, is subtle. T-Rex was not only physically imposing, it was intelligent, efficient, and extraordinarily well adapted to its environment. Unlike many modern predators, it could extract far more energy from its prey, locate and track animals over kilometers, and manipulate its environment to its advantage. In its ecosystem, it was nearly unbeatable. Survival for any herbivore required constant vigilance, adaptation, and strategic movement. Yet, despite this mastery, even T-Rex could not withstand the forces of cosmic fate. The Chicxulub asteroid impact 66 million years ago triggered environmental chaos on a global scale. The forests, plains, and river systems T-Rex had dominated collapsed almost instantly. Firestorms, tsunamis, and atmospheric dust clouds disrupted every food chain. Even the most perfectly evolved predator could not survive this sudden, cataclysmic event. Evolution had produced an apex predator, optimized over millions of years, but extinction does not discriminate. The revelation is profound. T-Rex embodies the extraordinary power of natural selection, a creature perfected for its time and environment, yet ultimately vulnerable to forces beyond its control. It reminds us that evolution does not create monsters, it creates solutions. And sometimes those solutions are so powerful and efficient that they redefine what life can achieve on Earth. The terrifying truth about T-Rex is not only that it ruled its world, but that it represents an evolutionary achievement so precise, so lethal, and so finely tuned that even today it challenges our imagination. It was, in every sense, the ultimate predator, an apex organism whose sophistication continues to inspire awe, study, and a deep, uneasy respect for the forces of life and nature.
Tyrannosaurus rex, for millions of years, reigned supreme over the ecosystems of late Cretaceous North America. Its power, its efficiency, and its intelligence made it the ultimate predator, a force that shaped the lives of every herbivore, every smaller carnivore, and even the structure of the landscape itself. Yet, in the span of a single geological instant, all of that dominance vanished. 66 million years ago, a cosmic event changed the course of life on Earth forever. A massive asteroid, roughly 10 kilometers wide, struck the Yucatan Peninsula, triggering the Chicxulub impact. The collision unleashed unimaginable energy. Shockwaves rippled through the planet, fires consumed forests, tsunamis swept across continents, and a dense cloud of dust and aerosols blocked sunlight for months. Ecosystems collapsed, food chains disintegrated. Even creatures as finely tuned and dominant as T-Rex could not survive the sudden chaos. The tyrant king, the apex predator perfected by millions of years of evolution, disappeared almost instantaneously. And yet, T-Rex did not vanish completely. Its extinction marked the end of one era, but it also paved the way for another. The evolutionary innovations it embodied, efficient energy use, powerful sensory systems, and structural adaptations for strength and agility, did not disappear. Many of these traits persist in the living descendants of dinosaurs, birds. Every eagle soaring through the sky, every crow observing its environment with intelligence, every sparrow navigating its urban ecosystem carries a genetic echo of that once mighty predator. In this sense, T-Rex did not leave the world entirely. It evolved, shrank, and adapted into new forms that continue to thrive. The legacy of T-Rex also reaches into our own imagination. For over a century, it has captivated scientists, filmmakers, and the public alike. It shaped our understanding of predator-prey dynamics, evolutionary biology, and the raw power of natural selection. But as we learn more about its biology and behavior, we are confronted with a more nuanced reality. This was not just a terrifying monster, it was a masterpiece of evolution, a predator whose very design challenges our assumptions about life, intelligence, and survival. Reflecting on T-Rex's extinction offers a sobering perspective. Even the most perfectly adapted species can be rendered extinct by forces beyond its control. Dominance, intelligence, and efficiency cannot guarantee survival when the environment changes faster than life can adapt. It is a lesson that resonates today as humans confront ecological upheaval, climate change, and the fragility of complex ecosystems. The story of T-Rex reminds us that even the strongest, most refined solutions in nature are temporary within the vast and unpredictable sweep of planetary history. And yet, there is hope and wonder in this story. Life does not vanish without leaving traces. Evolution repurposes, adapts, and innovates. The ultimate predator of the Cretaceous is still present in form, function, and inspiration. Its legacy is not only in bones or fossils, but in the birds that fill our skies, in the science that uncovers its secrets, and in the awe it continues to inspire. In the end, T-Rex teaches us that power is transient, that survival requires adaptability, and that life, in all its forms, is a series of astonishing solutions to impossible problems. Its extinction was not the end, but a transformation, one that continues to echo across the planet today. The tyrant lizard king may be gone from the land, but its influence endures, reminding us that evolution creates not monsters, but extraordinary solutions whose impacts can last far beyond their time.